Bashar al-Assad's ascent to power in 2000 had inspired hope for reform, but his policies in later years disappointed many and opposition to his regime grew stronger. His fall was swift and unexpected. It ended the 54-year rule by the Assad dynasty. Fuzail Ahmed takes a look back at the rise and fall of Bashar al-Assad.
The toppling of symbols of power of the Assad regime across several cities of Syria signals the stunning end to the 54-year rule of the Assad dynasty in Syria. Islamist-led rebels swept into the capital, bringing a spectacular end to 5 decades of rule by Assad's clan over a country ravaged by one of the deadliest wars of the century. Rebel factions led by the Islamist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham declared Damascus liberated. Let's go back to 1963 and turn the pages of history to know more about Bashar al-Assad's ascent to power. Bashar al-Assad's father, Hafiz al-Assad, was an Air Force officer who helped lead the 1963 takeover of government by the Socialist Ba'ath Party before seizing power himself in a bloodless military coup in 1970. Assad was born on September 11, 1965 in Damascus, the third child and second son of Hafiz al-Assad and Anise Makhlouf. Assad grew up in the capital and graduated from medical school at Damascus University in 1988. Fluent in English, he was getting advanced training as an ophthalmologist in London in 1994, when Bashar, his father's first choice for president, died. Assad went back home to be groomed to lead Syria. Assad's ascent to power in 2000 at the age of 34 as a Western-educated ophthalmologist initially inspired hope for reform. His rise was facilitated when Parliament swiftly lowered the presidential age requirement from 40 to 34. However, opposition to Assad's regime grew side by side. In 2005, opposition groups came together to issue a declaration demanding free parliamentary elections, a national conference on democracy, and an end to emergency laws. Assad responded by imprisoning its leading signatories. Then began the street protests of early 2011 at the onset of the Arab Spring. Assad adopted the authoritarian tactics of his father, deploying military force and securing external backing to suppress dissent. Assad leaned heavily on Russian and Iranian military support throughout the war but failed to secure a definitive victory over opposition forces. Despite international isolation during the civil war, Assad managed to rebuild regional ties. In 2023, the Arab League reinstated Syria's membership after more than a decade of suspension. In May 2024, Saudi Arabia appointed its first ambassador to Damascus in 12 years, marking a significant diplomatic shift. The decade-long war has had a devastating human toll. More than 600,000 people have been killed in Syria's civil war as of March 2024, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a UK-based group that closely monitors the conflict. According to the United Nations, more than half of the pre-war population of 23 million had been displaced, either to other regions inside Syria or to other countries. That made it one of the gravest refugee crises since World War II. Millions fled to neighboring countries like Jordan, Turkey, Iraq and Lebanon, with many seeking refuge in Europe. The end of the 54-year-old dynastic rule brought cheers and smiles to the faces of Syrians. Damascus saw celebrations as fighters and a section of residents took to the streets cheering. However, as the world powers contemplate Syria's future after Assad's fall, one question remains. Is this happiness short-lived, or will Syria be thrown into another cycle of civil war? Only time will tell. Fuzail Ahmed's report for DD India.